And I wanted to take this opportunity to provide you with an update on the food supply chain and the steps that we are all taking to ensure that everyone has access to the food that they need. We recognise that this is a challenging time and that there are many things that the government is asking the nation to do differently as we work together to fight this pandemic. However, there is one message I want to start with loud and clear this afternoon, which is be responsible when you shop and think of others. Buying more than you need means that others may be left without, and it is making life more difficult for those frontline workers, such as our doctors and nurses and NHS support staff, who are working so hard in such difficult circumstances. So as you shop, think of those who are finishing their late shifts and need to pop to the local shop at the end of a long day. Today, the Prime Minister and I have spoken to the retail sector. There is more than enough food to go round, and our food supply chain is able to expand production to cope with increased demand. In the last week, sales of some foods have increased significantly, and manufacturers have produced around 50% more food than they usually would. There is no shortage of food available, and more is arriving at shops every day. But the challenge that all of our retailers have faced is keeping shelves stocked throughout the day in the face of increased purchasing behaviour. We all have a role to play in ensuring that we come through this together. So the government has taken steps to set aside rules restricting delivery to stores and relaxed restrictions on driver hours so that more goods can be delivered to every store every day. And we have also set aside competition laws so that supermarkets can coordinate their efforts locally, sharing staff, sharing delivery vehicles and coordinating their store opening times to ensure that food reaches every part of the country. We've also waived the plastic bag charge and for online purchases to speed up deliveries. Our retailers and food producers who supply them are working around the clock to keep shelves stocked and the nation fed. Supermarkets are recruiting more staff, protecting shopping time for older and vulnerable people, and limiting shopping hours so they have more time to restock. And I want to take this opportunity to thank all those staff working in our supermarkets and food businesses up and down the country today who are doing so much to deliver such a crucial service to us all. But as the Prime Minister has said many times, we need every citizen of this country to play their part too. Some supermarkets have put in place purchase limits on some items to ensure that there is fair trading and that their shelves remain stocked for longer. Everyone must respect such measures and respect the staff working in these shops who are doing their best to ensure that both you and your neighbours get the food supplies that you need. Thank you. I'd like to pass over to Helen now.
Thank you. Thank you. Just to pick up on a couple of points there. Firstly, I mean, you don't need me to tell you about the sort of levels of unprecedented demand that we've all seen. And I really wanted to reassure everybody that people right across the food industry, from growers, packers, producers, distributors, drivers, and the people right at the front line in our stores are doing everything they can to make sure that we have the food that we all need. And it's almost like we're seeing basically a peak in demand like Christmas without the 4-month build-up in planning that you would normally have in advance, and we've been able to do that in 2 weeks. There is plenty of food in the supply chain. The issue is around people and lorries, so getting that food right into the front line, onto our shelves, which is why we've seen shortages in some areas across lots of different different lines in different areas of the country. What's been vital over the last few days is the dialogue that we've had with government. They've really listened carefully to the things that people across the industry have highlighted that would make it easier to increase capacity. The key is, I guess, not just that listening, but being able to act quickly. And George has highlighted there a couple of things. I mean, for example, lifting curfew hours for deliveries has enabled much more lorries to get through the supply chain and into stores more quickly. And there's a whole list of things where we've raised an issue and it's been addressed quickly. And I think that is going to be vital as we go forward over the coming few weeks. And I think the food retailers that I'm talking to every day and on the call with the Prime Minister earlier really wanted to underline that message about, in encouraging everybody to really be considerate in what they buy, make sure that they only buy what they need. There is £1 billion more food in people's houses than there was 3 weeks ago, so we should make sure we eat some of it and be considerate, and also think about other people right across your communities and how we can all help them in making sure that they can pick up and get their shopping. And so I think it's much more about how we all work together to rise to the challenges that we're facing.
Thank you, Helen. And Stephen.
Thank you. So I would just like to make a plea on behalf of all my colleagues in the NHS, nurses, doctors, paramedics and many, many others who are working incredibly hard at the moment to manage this outbreak of coronavirus and are preparing for the surge that they know will be coming at them. It's incredibly important that they too have access to food, to those essential supplies that they need. I'm sure many of you will have seen a video posted on social media yesterday by Dawn, a critical care nurse, who was in tears at the end of a long shift because she could not get access to the supplies that she needed. And frankly, we should all be ashamed that that has to happen. It's unacceptable. These are the very people that we will all need to look after perhaps us or our loved ones in the weeks ahead. It's critical that by not stockpiling, by not selfishly shopping, by leaving those supplies for others too, that our health workers are able to get access to what they need to. These are the people that we will all be relying on more than we ever have done in the weeks ahead.